Greetings everyone, ni hao. So today I'm going to talk about this article published in 2015. It's called University Students and Teachers' Perceptions of China English and World Englishes, Language Attitudes and Pedagogic Implications. So I was really pleased when my course instructor forwarded me this article because I happened to be in China a few months back. So, in spite of this article says that in spite of the nationwide promotion of Mandarin Chinese in China, importance of English cannot be underestimated. And the Ministry of Education in China requires English from grade 3 of primary school till postgrad level. And English learners are increasing in number and decreasing in age. The Chinese government has encouraged the civil servants and ordinary people to learn English. University students in China now learn English through multiple means. They use English in offline as well as in their online world. English language speaking industry has become a multi-million dollar industry. So English has become the global language. However, China English is seldom reported about. Despite receiving at least 12 years of formal English instruction throughout their education, most non English major graduates demonstrate considerable English learning deficiencies. So, today's non native speakers of English outnumber its native speakers by 3 or 4 times. They make English their own. Now, this article suggests some 5 phases proposed by Schedner's dynamic model of New Englishes: foundation, exonormative stabilization, nativization, endonormative stabilization, and differentiation. I would have liked it if the article explained more about these phases. However, we have to move on. Next, the article states that Japan and Pakistan have declared their English to be independent and standard. Various cultures throughout the world have adopted and reinvented English. Singaporean English, for example, although evidently not the same as the English used in traditional English speaking countries like Britain or the USA, has been accepted as an official language alongside Mandarin Chinese, Malay, and Tamil. It is widely used in education, administration, law, mass media, science and technology, trade, and commerce. Some Chinese scholars and researchers argue that China English can also be considered as an independent variety of English. Now, British and American English only internationally acceptable pedagogic model for English language teaching. Which variety of English, native or non-native, should be selected as the pedagogic model? That is the question that has been a subject of debate for more than 2 decades. In China, British English was adopted as the only pedagogic model between 1949 and the mid 1970s. With the improvement of the Sino American relationship in the late 1970s, a good many American English textbooks and audio materials were imported into China together with the arrival of American experts and teachers. Now, the research questions native speaker based pedagogic model, and this may have contributed to students' less than satisfactory learning proficiency. So, next, the results. China should and will have its own variety of English and it should be called China English. It cannot replace British English and American English, but it could be accepted as part of the model together with standardized English if it were well codified and became a well established variety of English. And teachers were more positive to standardized English while the students were less negative about China English. China English is a more acceptable name for the variety of English in China for teachers, but for students the term might be either China English or Chinese English. Students were generally more positive towards China English than their teachers, who typically showed a much greater preference for standardized English. A possible reason for this is that because they had learned and then taught standardized English for many years, teachers had developed ingrained favoritism of standardized English. Now, this was say 30 years ago that English learners and users in China may now be facing the need to use English as an additional language in its localized form. The majority of participants in this research demonstrated positive attitudes towards China English as an emerging variety of English. Standardized varieties of English are still used as almost the only source of learning materials in China, except for the pioneering efforts concerning cultural contents in a few textbooks. This is primarily because there is no clear and feasible answer to what could be used as a model. So, this article goes on to suggest three options for pedagogic models: an international variety of English, the speaker's own variety of English, and an established variety of English, not limited to British and American English. Mutual understanding and communication between students and teachers so that they can be better informed of each other's viewpoints were also encouraged. If the legitimacy of China English can be recognized on par with a non native speaker based pedagogic model, then it will be more confident. The two groups of participants generally agree that China should and will have its own variety of English. Models and standards have always been of the utmost importance in Chinese culture, so it will often rely heavily on standardized varieties of English for pedagogic norms and models. So I think now the question would be, uh, do you think China English should replace the standardized English, British and American English, or should British and American English remain? Thank you.